Inflight by David Regal and Penguin Magic is a brand new, examinable, and shuffleable version of the classic tossed out deck routine. Now, what is the difference between this and the other versions of the plot? And is it worth switching to this brand new gimmick deck? Today, we're going to find out. If you find this review helpful, please hit that subscribe button so you never miss an upload. We're trying to hit 3,000 subscribers as soon as possible, so if you hit that button, it would really help out. Now, what do you get? When you purchase Inflight by David Regal, you'll get this classic penguin magnetic enclosed box, and inside you'll get 3 thick rubber bands and your gaffed deck. This is a red bicycle rider back gaff deck, and it's not the same as the original tossed out deck for a couple of reasons, and I will get into those reasons shortly. Now, what is the quality of the gimmick? The gimmick deck is pretty good quality. It does have a material that you may need to reapply to the deck of cards over time, as it eventually will wear out. However, most magicians most likely already have some of this material. The deck of cards can be examined and shuffled by the audience, which was never possible with the original tossed out deck. Now, there is one caveat to that. They can't examine the deck for an extended period of time. They should only be handling the deck and examining it for a good 10 seconds. Also, people with knowledge about cards will likely notice something that is off with the deck. So you won't want to perform this on magicians. This is better on lay people. The cards themselves should last you a while, but you'll still likely need to do some things to maintain them as wear and tear happens over time. Now, how is the tutorial? The tutorial is pretty good. It's about 30 minutes long. David Regal is in the P3 Magic Studio, and he goes through a live performance, how it works, the history, learning the routine, the reset, and the closing. All in all, I'd say it was a pretty good tutorial. He is mic'd up and the video quality is good. David says that the routine he performs more than any other routine is this, and he has a lot of work on it. So he has a lot of subtleties to add and other things that can increase the power level of this. Now, is this a social media or a real life effect? This is a real life effect, and it maintains that brilliance, that classic swindle idea present in the original version of the tossed out deck, while also adding these new features. What are the angles like? When performing Inflight, you can be completely surrounded. You will want to make the instructions pretty clear to your audience though, so they don't just start riffling through the cards, because if they do, that will certainly put a wrench in things. It's not good. You won't want people to do that. Is this examinable? Yes, but I wouldn't let them examine it for too long, or else they'll probably discover something. I wouldn't give this to someone for say 10 minutes and say, look through the cards and figure out what is wrong with them. Because most certainly, if you do that, they will figure out something is wrong pretty quickly. Let's talk about the difficulty and practicality of the effect. This is not difficult at all. In fact, it's pretty much automatic. The deck does most of the work for you. It's incredibly practical for many different situations, including close-up, parlor, and even stage. It's incredibly scalable, so you could perform it for 550 or even 500 people. And it can be played up depending on your presentation and your build-up. Those are very important. And circling back to the difficulty, what is most important is that you direct the audience, because if you direct them wrong, and I've had this happen a couple times back when I wasn't as experienced with the tossed out deck, and this wasn't to do with Inflight, this was with the original tossed out deck. I had it happen a couple times where I didn't give clear enough instructions and the spectator thought I meant, oh, just riffle through and stop whenever. And that did not go well. So learn from my mistake. Is there any DIY required? No, there's no DIY required because everything comes ready to go. However, as time goes on, the cards will wear out and you will need to do something to maintain them, if that makes sense. What is the pocket space? You have to carry this deck of cards and the 3 rubber bands, or I'd carry 2 rubber bands. David says carry 2 just in case one breaks. And yes, this is a one-trick pony. The deck only does one trick, one routine. And I know pocket space comes at a premium, so you have to think about it. Is this something that you would be willing to perform? Is this something that you want to add to your professional repertoire? And I think it is something that people should be adding to their repertoire. Whether you like the original tossed out deck or Inflight or one of the many other variations, I think tossed out deck is great because it is so scalable. Anyhow, what is the reset like? There is a reset. If you shuffle the deck, you'll have to get it back into somewhat of an order, which takes about a minute or 2. Now, what's the difference between the original tossed out deck and Inflight? I'd say the main difference is the examinability. The original tossed out deck was not examinable. Is this really the best tossed out deck? There are other tossed out decks on the market that are also examinable and also have extra convincers. For example, Gazzo's tossed out deck. There is one person who you supposedly mess up on and didn't get their card. So you look them in their eyes and instantly reveal it. And that is genius. That is a very strong kicker. So there are a lot of tossed out decks on the market. It's all about finding one that suits you. Because there are differences in the pattern, there are differences in presentation, and even differences in effect. So you'll have to keep that in mind. Research the other tossed out decks for sure. Watch how people perform those tossed out decks and come to a decision based on which routine you like the most. Now, what is the price? The price of Inflight is, I believe, $40 US. Is it worth the price? I do believe that is a bit on the expensive side for a gaffed deck, especially for what this is. It is a little bit expensive. I think this should have been closer to $35 or $30. Now, here is something you want to keep in mind. There is a very slim chance if the spectators shuffle very badly, for example, if they're shuffling a casino style wash or something like that, there is a chance that this will not work. And it usually wouldn't happen, as I said, unless the spectators don't follow your instructions. For example, if they shuffle the deck for 10 minutes, there's a very high probability that certain cards will clump together. Certain cards will become more concentrated in certain areas of the deck. If you have this, you'll know what I mean. And if that were to happen, then you increase the odds of failure with this effect. What are the pros and cons? The pros are this is a really solid effect. It's very scalable. It's examinable. They can shuffle. The angles are perfect. Everything you need to perform this is included. This will last you a very long time. Not much pocket space is required for this effect, and it can be played to some of the biggest stages. It also can be used as a staple for many performers. As for the cons, I guess the rubber bands will eventually break and you'll need to buy more. They're not special rubber bands or anything like that. But I recommend getting the thick rubber bands because those are really good at keeping the deck together. Another thing is there are some similar tossed out decks, some of which even are arguably better and have better kickers. Now, I'm not saying that this isn't for people. This isn't something you should buy. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that there are many other tossed out decks and this won't be the right one for everybody. Also, it's a little bit expensive. Now, what percent am I giving this? I'm giving Inflight an 83%. I really enjoyed taking a look at this effect. I think it is really workable. I think it's a pretty good routine. And I really hope you enjoyed this review or found it helpful. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.